Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Liam, the Prove It Guy, author of Limitation is a Mirage. In this podcast, I will be sharing with you actionable tips, routines, and insights that I have gathered over 20 years of extensive study with masters, experts, and world-class performers. My hope with this podcast is to save you time, money, and frustration, helping you fast-track your way to mastery. Hey guys, it's Liam, the Prove It Guy, and welcome back to the Limitation is a Mirage podcast. So today's the day we finally launched the program. So Academy for Life has launched, and my programs are on that, and it's been one of the most hectic days ever. But I've been quite excited because I've been working towards this I've been working towards it for 3 months, like knowing exactly where I'm going. But it's really been 20 years in the making. So all of the training that I've done, everything I've put together into these courses. And I find it funny, a few people have said to me since it launched, which is actually only a few hours ago, things like, oh, you must be really happy that you got that done and you can just move on to the next thing. What's next on the horizon? And then whenever I say how long it's actually taken to get to this point and that this is only the beginning, that we're about to like go full scale with this, they're like, what do you mean it took you 20 years? Surely it's not that hard to make a program. It just got me thinking about over the years the different things that people have said to me. I remember whenever I moved over to England and I was taking a class, and whenever I first went over, I was like level 1. The sum chain was the movement that I was learning, or the form I was learning. And one of the guys in the class, he was only a teenager, I was about 21 at the time, said to me he just wasn't really playing ball. He wasn't doing anything I was asking. So eventually I sat everybody down and I asked him directly, like, what's going on here? Why are you not engaging with what I'm teaching? And he asked me what gave me the right to teach him when he was a level 7 and I was only a level 1. And being from the background that I was from and having a wee bit of anger issues whenever I was younger and into my early 20s, I offered him on in a fight. In fact, I offered him and anybody else that he wanted to take with them in a fight. And I had said to them that whoever won the fight could teach the class. So I stood in the middle of the hall or dojo or whatever you want to call it, and I just called out the class. I said, yes, I'm a level 1, but there's a reason I'm here teaching application. There's a reason you're here learning it. So I offered on the entire class. Most of the people in the class were dead on, to be fair, so I knew they weren't going to do anything, but the big kid and his friends, I think they were all about, 16 to 19, something like that, and I was 21. So obviously they didn't get up and fight me, thankfully, because that would have been really hard to explain to Ian after that I offered on the whole class and ended up getting in a big brawl. It would have been cool. It would have been like an old school kung fu movie, but it never worked out that way, thankfully. And my response was then, this is why I'm the teacher and why you're supposed to be learning. And that just got me thinking that he just thought because of the level I was at in that art, that I had no outside experience, that I hadn't learned anything else, that I hadn't practiced anywhere, or I didn't even have real life experience. So people start to think whenever someone becomes an overnight success, that it actually happens overnight. Like a few of my friends and other coaches have been texting me today asking me, have I made £1 million yet? Because I launched the course earlier. And we always make that joke about the fact that people think that they're going to learn something once and then release it, and then that's going to be that's going to be their $1 million idea. Once you have that idea, you just make £1 million. You don't have to work at it. And we joke quite often about that because of the amount of clients you have that will say stuff like, I know you say this is how you did it and it took you 10 years to develop the skill, but there must be a faster way. Like, can you teach me it? I've got about an hour tomorrow. Can you teach me how to do it in an hour? So that's what's been on my mind this week. Just working towards the launch. I was talking about it last week and the week before, and every video I've posted has talked about it. So now I've finally launched to finally become an overnight success. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I suppose after this podcast comes out, you'll all jump straight on. The sale that we're having actually is amazing. We're doing a 90% sale and then 30 pence for a month's worth of training. So it's actually quite a great sale that we're doing. We thought the only reason we could do that is because we're launching a completely new platform, and we want to make sure that we get it up and going without where we can test all of the wee bugs and all of the people coming into it, we can test out what it's like. Uh, I would never have thought about doing this beforehand unless we were building a specific platform for it. But whenever you become an overnight success, it's usually down to years and years of practice and training and just honing your craft. So the more that you do that, like the longer you do that, the better you're obviously going to get at it. And I spoke about this before. I believe I'm in a position to teach what I do and what I demonstrate because my understanding of it is so deep that no matter what question you have or what you're doing that's wrong, I can help you to counteract that problem and actually grow and improve with the teaching that I have. Just because you see someone's really good at something, that doesn't necessarily make them a good teacher. It just means that they've personally practiced things. I've met hundreds of martial art people over the years that are world champions that can do incredible things. And then once you ask them, how are you actually doing that? What's the mechanics of the movement? They'll say something like, oh, you just put your foot here and then you just throw your other foot over there. And then you've just done a 360 tornado kick. And you're like, right, start at the start. Which foot do I put where? And whenever you ask them to actually break it down and slow it down, they can't comprehend how it's done that way because they feel like they naturally do it. But again, they had to learn how to do it. It's just practice and repetition. But a lot of people practice their movements, practice the things that they want to get better at without being actively practicing. They're passively practicing. So for me, the difference is if you're actively practicing, you'll do the move and you learn it, and then you look at it and you think, well, what is this fist doing? Where's it traveling? Why is it traveling there? How fast does it need to go? What direction does my knuckle need to be? You'll break every little bit down, and you'll learn exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. Whereas, and I know I was one of these people at the very start, I just wanted to learn how to kick ass. So whenever I was taught anything, I just drilled the movement. I didn't care. I just punched away at things and kicked away at things. I remember hanging a yellow pages or a phone book up on the wall and just punching it until all the pages disappeared, till I was punching a wall, because I saw that in a kung fu movie or two and thought, well, whenever I was younger, I thought kung fu, and when I say younger, I didn't start martial arts till I was about 16, so I was about 17, 18. I just thought it was all real, and it was based on, I knew it was a movie, but I thought, these are actual martial artists, so their integrity wouldn't allow them to just do bullshit stuff. They would want to film real things and real practice. So if I saw Jackie Chan punching paper against a wall until there was no paper left and he was hitting a wall, then that's what I was going to do. And that is what I did. It's why my knuckles are so weird looking. Thankfully, they never broke, but my hands did become square, and they just look damaged. On the podcast, if you're just listening, you won't be able to see it, but just trust me or go to the video and look at it. They look damaged, but they've never actually been badly damaged. They've done damage though, as they say. So whenever, what was I talking about? Honing your craft. So whenever you hone your craft and become an active trainer, that gives you a better understanding and a better ability to actually go out and teach whatever it is that you're good at. If you want to teach it, that is, you mightn't want to teach it, so then you can just you can still be amazing as a passive learner or as a passive trainer. But I think actively learning and engaging with everything that you're doing will just make it so much faster. Like recently, I've been talking to Ben and Craig about memory, because both of them do a lot of memory work, and they're really, especially Craig, is really honing in on it. And he's starting to realize now that it's just filtering into every aspect of his life. Like we were talking earlier about him seeing a sign on a hairdresser's and remembering the name of the hairdressers and the phone number and everything. He told me it, not that I need a hairdresser, but maybe that was just a subtle dig at me now when I think about it. But it's starting to filter into his real life. And I always talk about that in martial arts. I believe everyone should learn martial arts. I've said this for a long time. I believe you should learn in a group, not just like you shouldn't send your kids one-to-one unless they're doing group as well, because in the group you learn how to just interact with people, be more social, you get more confidence, you get better at talking to people and understanding people and just reading people. But since I've been studying martial arts, I noticed, like when I walk into a room, Some people think it's weird. It's kind of like the Born Identity thing where you like scope out the area when you go in. But I'm very good at picking up vibes of people. If people are sad, if they're angry, if they're happy. And I'm very good at changing the direction in which people are talking just from my position or the way I talk to them or the words that I use. And this all comes from my training. The fact that I was actively training and not just passively doing it. So whenever I was learning how to do a flow drill, for example, so we would do loads of flow drills, and at the start, you just battered each other. You called it a flow drill, but you really were just hammering into each other because you thought that would just make you better. But over time, you start to learn the actual movements and the drills. Especially when I did Wing Chun, there was so many little drills in it that you had to really pay attention to what you were doing and feel what the other person was doing. So you start off physically just feeling what they're doing and their pressure, the amount of forward force they're doing, and how to turn that, and everything that's involved in the Wing Chun. But you then start to realize the change in their demeanor and the way they're being forceful with you, not just physically but mentally. You can see them really trying to attack you, or the ones that just love the flow and the play of it. And then you can start to take that out into your real life, where you just meet people day to day. So it's actually one of the things that I teach my corporate clients is how to interact better with the people that they're doing business with, if they're negotiating with people, or if it's just running their own business and actually working with their employees or the customers that come in. Whenever you're more active as a person, more alert, more aware, and just more observant, you can get much more done in your day. You can get much more out of conversations. So it's why I like to have deeper conversations than just like talking about sport or talking about a movie. If I talk about a movie, I will say why I feel the way I feel about the movie, or how it made me feel, or I'll try to elaborate a wee bit more rather than just saying I love The Water Boy because it was about a guy who got water and then all of a sudden became an American football guy and became the best ever. Well, in like Alabama or wherever it was based, I can't actually remember. I'll say that one of the reasons I love The Water Boy is the fact that he was the complete underdog. He was someone that was overlooked by everyone, and then when he finally demonstrated a skill, he was able to hone in on that and prove what he was doing, improve the skill, improve the people around him, and well, it was a movie, so he ended up improving the whole life of everyone and getting married, and his estranged father coming back, and his mum rugby tackling him, well, American football tackling him. I'm going slightly off subject, but you see what I mean. I like the movie, and I like it for a reason, not just because it's a good movie. Saying that, I really love Waterworld because it's an awesome movie, first of all. And same sort of idea. It's an underdog story. I think just from my youth being an underdog and not being told I wasn't going to achieve anything, I really resonate with underdog stories. But you can start to see more in the conversations you're having, in the books you read, in the movies that you watch, in the stories that people tell you. One of the downsides of that is whenever people are chatting complete shitey, whenever they're just lying, when you know the story's just bullshit, you have to decide whether to be polite and listen and agree and go, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. If you say something like that sounds pretty interesting, I probably don't believe what you're saying. So there's a wee insider tip for you. Not that most people will remember that, but if I say something like that's pretty interesting, I'm not interested in what you're saying because I assume that it's nonsense. But that all comes from all of my training, the martial arts, the magic, the hypnosis, everything. Whenever I learn something, I want to work out how it can be brought into my entire life, and not just how I can develop it within that one little box. Like when I did hypnosis, I didn't want to just learn to be a hypnotherapist and read off scripts and just do hypnotherapy work. I wanted to do change work. I wanted to actually help people make breakthroughs. So that's why I went to Craig and got Craig to teach me his method as best he could. He's wired different than the rest of us, which he will say himself. So whenever I went and chatted to him, most of his teaching was him going back to me and saying, pay more attention, like read the messages,
look at your notes, reread them, pay attention to what's being said, how they're saying it, the way they move. And then I was able to use the skill set I had from hypnosis into my coaching, for example. Even the going to market and learning how to speak. I was going to learn how to speak better, learn how to communicate better. That would be a better way of describing it. When I learned how to communicate better and understand tone and posture and the words that people use and the way that they use them and the inflection in which they use them, it gives you a much bigger insight into when you're having conversations with people. Like we say it in body language terms that people are chatting to you, but they aren't engaging with you. Maybe their body's like turned away from you, or maybe whenever they say something that made them happy, they don't smile or there's no reaction. But you can hear it in the tone in which people speak if you understand tone and the words that they use and the words that they repeatedly use. If they say something like they're going to become the greatest MMA fighter ever, and the way they're going to do that is they're going to try to train really hard and they're going to try to control their diet and they're going to try to listen to everything that the coach says. If they just said that with enough passion and you weren't paying too much attention, you would think they're really passionate about that. That's something they're really going to go and do and achieve. But if you listen to the words that I'm using there, I'm saying try repeatedly. If I want to be the best MMA fighter in the world, I'm not going to try to listen to my coach. I'm going to listen to my coach. I'm going to do what my coach says because they know what's best. I'm not going to try to control my diet. I understand that I need a certain diet to create a certain weight. So I'm not going to try to do that. I'm going to do that because that is something within my control. And same as training. I'm not going to try to train hard. I'm going to try to train as hard as I can. So just listening to the words that people are saying will give you a greater insight to them than just paying attention. So listen to the words, listen to the inflection, the way they're saying everything, and seeing if it's congruent with their body language. So this is just what I wanted to talk about today, is because the whole launch thing happened and then people started asking me like the whole overnight success type thing. Not that I'm successful yet. Well, I could be. I've been on this for about 20 minutes. So maybe in this 20 minutes, I've made my million and I've finally made it. But whenever people are asking for that or asking for quick fixes or asking the easy way, like if I say to you, it took me 10 years to develop something and you want to know the easy way to do that, it's not going to take you 10 years to get there. There's going to be an easier way, but it's probably going to involve work. It's why I started studying under Ben and Craig. I knew I couldn't learn everything that they had because they've been doing it for a long time, but I knew that they would have they would have known all the pitfalls, so I could miss them. It's still going to take time. Like I've trained with both of them for maybe 5 or 6 years or something like that. And I'm still learning every time we talk and interact. But I'm not going down the wrong paths or the things that they had to do to realize that, right, this doesn't actually work. We need to change direction. So having a mentor does help in that way, but there's always going to be work. That's why, again, I made a complete U-turn last year and deleted everything. I want to work with people who are successful and want to be more successful. So the way I decided to do that was to change up my programs and integrate all of my training instead of holding bits back because I knew it either wouldn't make sense to people or because they wouldn't be interested at the start. Like when I first learned martial arts, I had no interest in Tai Chi, no interest in breathing exercises. I just wanted to go fight. And when I got injured and tired and sore, then I was forced to do the Tai Chi, and I realized, well, actually this is really beneficial for me. It's really helpful. And that focus that I got from the Tai Chi is what's helped me develop everything else. So I didn't enjoy teaching people who wanted to pick and choose wee bits of my training. I wanted them to at least look at all of it, and then maybe they've done goal setting and loads, so they don't need to do goal setting with me. But all the other stuff, you don't want to pick and choose between learning about your vocals, learning about your presentation skills. You don't want to pick and choose bits of that because it's just not going to make any sense. It doesn't come together as a package. So that's why I changed all of that. So most people have become an overnight success unless you've won the lottery or you've invented an app by accident, which is never going to happen. But winning the lottery is the most likely thing to do. Unless you've done that, you've probably put a lot of work in. And that's basically what I'm saying today, is that I've I've put a lot of work in. So it's not just been 3 months of hard work to get to the launch. It's actually been 20 years of study, practice, and I know I'm going to have to learn more, improve more, and keep growing. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing day, whatever you get up to, and I will speak to you on the next episode.